All right, so spreading the floor, episode 20. Listen, guys, there's actually going to be a little bit of a difference in the recording. So yesterday we recorded an entire show. It ran around like I think like an hour, 7 minutes, but some of the audio kind of got corrupted, was messed up, and we kept in the part where we had Don, the network director, on the show. You'll see him about 30 minutes in. But the point of this show, the special 20th episode, and so me and Nigel could both take a look at Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Lakers and the Heat, and take a little walk around down memory lane, and talk about our humble beginnings, where we came from, and where we're going. And that part, sadly, is the part that the audio got corrupted for. So we figured we'd kind of do a little redo here and just talk real quick about what's next for the podcast, where we started, and just, our humble beginnings. So do we want to? We should do this in a story format, Nigel. I feel like, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Start from the jump. Do you want to get us started off, or should I?
I'll start us off.
All right.
Basically, what happened was me and Coop, we had a lot of classes together. We're both mass comm majors, and one day we're sitting in the cafeteria having some salads, and we were talking about, hey, we talk about a lot of basketball. I feel like we have some good takes. We have some good insight. Maybe it'd be cool to just hop in the booth one day and put it on a recording, see how it sounds, and the rest was history. Coop, if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, man. It seems like that cafeteria session, for lack of a better term, before Corona hit and messed everything up, was the start. And when I say a lot of people, like, this has been a process, right, Nige? The podcast turned a year old on the 8th. But people don't know, obviously, how should they and why would they, that this podcast, the idea was conceived in that lunchroom and it was started the next day.
Right.
So it wasn't just me, but we came up with the name. We came up with the logo, which,
right.
I mean,
we did come up with the name. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We came up with the name during that session.
Yeah, dude, we literally sat down on the table, came up with the name. I drafted a logo, and now this show has had 3 different logo changes. 4 actually, because right before we had the sponsorship and they redid the cover art for us, there was that other one that I used right when we made the jump to Anchor, which is our new RSS service. There was that.
Right.
There was the original one, which looked like, you remember that one? It had all the plays on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was a cool one.
It was cool. And then we had the OG
archives.
The archives. We had that circle with the guy spinning the ball with one finger.
Yeah.
We always use the same color waves though, so that's been the same. But since then, man, like, pretty much everything about this podcast was conceived within one day and almost within one lunch session. Because I went back after that session, and again, this is right after I think I'd started hopping on mics, because I had one previous experience before that where I just kind of sat down in front of a mic, talked for 40 minutes, and I fell in love with it. And then, again, me and Nigel, we had the same mass comm class, right? And then we were kind of talking it out. You were like, yo, let's go get some pesto salads. So we slid through, and the rest was history from there. And since the very first episode, where we're sitting there with our laptops, and I watched back a lot of our episodes in preparation for this podcast, and the one thing that I can say unequivocally, Nigel, is that we've like just gotten so much better at what we do. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked back at any of our original stuff. The content is great, but in the first one, we were talking about the FIBA tournament, right? And we'd be like, yeah, no. So I think, that guy's on the Celtics. Okay, yeah, this guy is Kemba Walker. Which team is the West? Yeah. And now it's just it flows, and I think that's one of our best assets, is that it's just basically a conversation. And so I just wanted to say, like, we've gotten not only on the editing aspect or the editing side of things, just as on mic presenters, we've gotten so much better at doing this. Like, it's been, especially with the synergy, like, talk about like an NBA 2K dynamic duo. Yeah. That's us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm proud of us, man. I think we kicked ass to get to this point, man. And we only got better. Like, even back then, where the change wasn't immediately noticeable, I look back now and it was like every single episode was a bit more energy and a bit more of this, a bit more of that. And it just all accumulated to where we were today. And I'll get into, I feel like we should divide it, and I'll let you talk in a second. I know I'm monologuing here, but we should probably divide it post So it's, you know how in history it's like there's before Christ,
Yeah,
BC, and after Christ. I feel like it should be like before ATB and after ATB.
yeah.
So there was until this point it's always been the same. We've only gotten better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And 20 episodes doesn't sound like much, but you consider the fact that each episode is an hour long,
Yeah,
and how many hours went into, in preparation, how many hours went into post-production, how many hours went into just sitting there waiting for it to upload to YouTube, upload here, download the content. It's been quite a number of hours that we've spent on this podcast. And it's our baby. It's what we love to do, and we still have a long way to go, but we're proud of where we come so far. And I think it's interesting how far how much, like you said, how much of a difference it made. I mean, it's been 1 year. It's been the longest NBA season ever, so we got to
yeah,
cover that. It was fun. That it was very interesting that during our first year of podcasting, that was what we had got to talk about. Just one of the most exciting NBA seasons. One of them. We didn't know what was going to happen next, so um, it was definitely interesting, and I'm proud of where we come, and I can't wait to put out a lot more. So here's the 20 more.
yeah, man. You really, if you put it that way, Night, it's almost like it was handed to us. And of course, a lot of work, like you said, has gone into it, post production, a lot of late nights staying up till 3 a.m., a lot of stressing, like you said, about the uploads, because the internet connection here sometimes is akin to stealing a McDonald's Wi-Fi connection, and it takes like
Yeah,
13. I've went to sleep, had it upload, and then that's usually what I do now is I'll have it upload on Tuesday mornings. This episode you guys will see on Wednesday, but it's almost like to your point with the whole season, it's almost tailor made, like we came
right.
in at just the right time. We left like it's coincided perfectly down to game 6 being right before our anniversary, I guess, episode, where we're talking about it. And just as the season ends, we have this introspective episode where we get to talk about how far we've come. It's just been something else, man. It's been, and you know what? Honestly, too, looking back, another thing that I've noticed before ATB is that I've gained a lot of basketball knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of my old takes, I know we were part of the cutout segment was we were looking back at our old clips, but again, some of the screen, just a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo, didn't work out. We could talk about some of our old clips, sure. Here, we have enough time for that. But most of our old clips, I mean, most of the stuff we got right, and it was really like we've talked about this before. It was really good content, but some of the stuff we got dead wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
it's just been, but it's been a learning experience more than anything. I think part of the greatest, or the greatest part, excuse me, one of the greatest parts of podcasting is the ability to have an actual conversation. And of course, people expect podcasters and as they should, they're in media, to be these perfect people that never make a mistake. I look back at some of my old takes on this podcast and I cringe. And I'm sure I'm going to look back, however, like you said, 20 episodes from now and be like, wow, what the hell was I talking about? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. It's just it's a great, like, podcasting is just, and it's, it also, if you want to talk about perfect timing, coinciding perfectly with the podcasting industry taking off. When we first started this podcast, I never would have dreamed about kind of, making my dream come true with going pro with this. But now, if at least somewhat more of an opportunity has presented itself,
absolutely. Yeah. The
so
doors are slowly starting to open up, and I don't I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of you, Coop. You put your heart and soul into it. I think we made a lot of improvement. We've learned a lot along the way, and I'm excited to see what the future has in store for not only spreading the floor, but just in general. I want to see how far we're going to take this. We love making content. We love talking about basketball, and we hope that you love listening to it and coming along for the journey, because that's what it's really all about. That's what we're passionate about. And like you said, man, it's just here's the 20 more.
yeah, do we want to real quick, Nigel, talk about not only the growth of the podcast, but if you're comfortable enough talking about it, the growth of us both as people? Because I can personally tell you, and I think that part of the great thing about podcasting, feel free to not divulge too much, but I'll get into a little bit of my backstory. I think part of the greatest podcasting, or I think the greatest, again, another great part of podcasting is that it is not only my passion, but it is an avenue for expression. So first year I was down in the dumps, and I'm not going to go too far into what was going on, but I was a sad sack. I wasn't, it got to the point some days where I wouldn't even do assignments. I'd just be, pretty much just working out, going back to the room, playing video games. I didn't really have a passion. I didn't have direction. None of that stuff. And I was just down in the dumps all the time, and just not in a good spot mentally. I was in an okay spot physically because the gym at that time was more of my outlet for expression. So I'm thankful for that, that I don't have to make up for lost time now and get in better shape. I think I've worked myself in a position where I don't have to. But if you talk about mentally, I just wasn't where I needed to be. And it even extended a little bit into the beginning of sophomore year. And then, like I said, I stepped into the booth and I found podcasting. And ever since then, man, it's not only, I mean, obviously, duh, layup. If you're a podcaster, you instantaneously become better at conversation with people. So
Right.
it's helped socially. I've been able to kind of just open up to more people and be able to have better social interactions because of that. But not only that, I've been able to enjoy life a lot more because when you have a passion and you're always working at it, some of the just rigmarole that used to really matter doesn't matter anymore. So I just think that, like, podcasting, while it's great that we have this, it's even better that this has been almost a metaphorical gateway into a better life and a better quality of living for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've definitely seen you grow. I've known you since the beginning of freshman year. We've always been tight like that. We've always been able to have great conversations. I always enjoyed being around you, spending time with you, and I think I was a little bit hesitant to start the podcast at first because I really didn't know where I wanted to go. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and putting some more work on the table for myself didn't really seem like the right path to choose. But I'm glad I did it because I definitely feel like I expanded. Like I said, when you just practice having conversations for an hour a week, you get better at it. I feel like I've become more sociable. I have better structure in my arguments. I have better structure just in my sentences in general. I'm an English major, so that helps a lot. I'm able to like hear myself more and kind of understand the way things sound to other people rather than just in my head. And also help me figure out like really what I want to do when I get older. Maybe podcast lives for me in the future. Maybe it's something else, but I know I want to go more in the conversational route, kind of making it up as I go along route. Whereas before I was kind of looking at more of like a script writing type of thing, maybe just reading off some a teleprompter and stuff. And I realized that's not really what I want to do. I don't want to be writing and reading for the rest of my life. I want to take what someone says and run with it, and that's podcasting has helped me do that. And who knows where this podcast is going. Maybe this is my future as well. But either way, I'm happy you found your calling, and I'm glad that you took me along for the trip, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I gotta ask too, was it the apprehension early starting this podcast? Was that simply just because you didn't want to put more work on your plate, or was there something else? Because I remember I did have to kind of coax you along a little bit. I think it took me like a couple tries, and I was like, nah, let's just. I think I
Yeah,
remember saying, like, let's just try it. Like, let's just see what happens.
yeah,
It'll be fun. Like, at the very least, I think I said, funnily enough, now looking back, because we're 20 episodes later, and we do this weekly now, save a few interruptions here and there. Uh, I was like, hey man, let's just see what happens. If nothing happens, whatever, we have it. It's cool. It's fun. We could just talk for an hour, and at the very least, well, it'll be a recording, and we can look back at it sometimes and laugh. And now here we are, 20 episodes later. But was that the only reason that you kind of had some apprehension coming in?
well, I had apprehend. Well, you got to remember, I'm a double major. I've
Yeah,
been a double major. I'm vice president of the television club at the school. I do a lot of work when it comes to that, especially during COVID. I got to fill in for a lot of people.
yeah,
Um, and I just going into it, I just honestly wasn't. I don't really listen to podcasts like that. I was never really interested in them. Doing the podcast definitely expanded my horizons, and also I'm just also the type of person that I just kind of need convincing. Like if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it 100%.
right,
In order for me to do it 100%, I got to get excited about it.
yeah,
And so what you really did well was, I mean, you're my friend, you kind of know me. you knew that you kind of had to get me excited about it. You had to talk, maybe mention some things that could come, talk about where we could be and stuff. And you definitely handled me correctly. You handled me better than a lot of people who know me very well did. And I'm grateful for that. You really made me step out of my comfortability zone, and I learned something very valuable from it.
Yeah, man. I guess I never would have really thought, and to your point, like I didn't realize I was trying to like sell you. I guess I did, but I didn't realize I was trying to like I didn't realize I was spinning it like that. Like I didn't realize I was trying to basically promote a celebrity boxing match, like in the you know what I'm saying? Like we could go
Yeah,
do a podcast, but like I guess it's something, and I've been told this before. I'm not gonna like stroke my own ego here, but I've been told by you actually, like we've had these conversations that my passion sometimes tends to shine through, and it's not something that I can even control. The
right,
passion, same as the personality, shines through. So, I was personally really excited about it. And to your point, Nige, I saw you as a person that needed convincing because you are such a polarizing figure. I feel like if you talk to anyone at this school, like they know Nigel Petty Fernandez, just the
right.
same way that they might know Jake Cooperman or Coop, as people call me around here. They know you, and they know that you're a talker. You're a charming guy.
Appreciate
Um,
that.
and it was kind of almost like I didn't know that we were going to be so good on the mic together when we first started. I had some sort of an idea that, hey, maybe Nigel's like the guy for, let's see if we can do a podcast, because I had approached other people for a podcast first. um, and it had kind of just fallen through, just not anything like malicious, just it settled out. um, but then I kind of saw you, and it's like, all right, we're having these great conversations at the table. Like it almost sounded like ESPN First Take sometimes. So I was like,
Yeah,
let's like take it to the mic, let's take it to the mat, let's see what we can do with this. And then I mean, I don't know, man. It's just some of the people have been telling us, man, that's our synergy is the best part of it. Like I said, dynamic duo.
right.
Uh, and to your point about expanding horizons, we've also, I don't know if you remember, Nige, we also tried talking about other stuff, mostly because I dragged you along to do it, and I can tell
Yeah.
you didn't really want to do some of those podcasting recordings.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But the big thing for me is I like to see that we're moving in a direction, and I was hesitant in the beginning, but the selling point for me was after every episode we would just be like, wow, that one felt really, really good. Like if you remember, there was a period of time in which every single one we would record, be like, that's probably our best one yet.
Yeah,
That's probably our best, and that was a good feeling. And obviously the learning curve kind of tips off a little bit. I think we found a very good steady point. Obviously there's tons of room for improvement, there's tons of room for growth
of course.
always, but we definitely came a long way. And I loved it. I love the feeling of doing it. I love the feeling of being in the studio with the microphone in my face. And when especially in my field, my major's media broadcast, a lot of it is just writing scripts and memorizing it, going and reading it off a teleprompter and giving it. I like that I could sit down with you, say something meaningful and laugh at the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I could move my hands around. I could say, I could mess up. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It was a good feeling to be able to express myself in like a way that a lot of other mediums don't allow you to. So that was a selling point for me. And if it wasn't for you, I would have never seen that. Definitely.
Podcasting is great, man. Podcasting is one of the, like you said, one of those mediums where you can literally just let it rip. And sometimes that could be your worst enemy. And
Yeah,
talking about like Joe Rogan, he's getting into some boiling water right now, but that's another topic for another episode. But yeah, I mean, to your point, podcasting is in my opinion one of the most transparent forms of art, and the most the most, one of the most pure forms of self-expression there is on this planet. I truly
yeah,
believe that. Better than movies, better than, and I mean, I love movies, don't get me wrong, but better than movies, better than creating video. Like right now, what we're doing, like, no, this can't be, you know what I'm saying? This can't be recreated in a video. This can't be recreated on a canvas. Like this is just the most
right.
pure form of connection, you know?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I guess with the second half here, we talked enough about our past and how we started this podcast, and I think
Right.
also to just cap it off real quick, Nige. A lot of people, you're the first person to give me props for what I've done behind the scenes, editing wise, post production wise, pre production wise. But I don't even, I feel like I don't even have to say this, but man, like you're the second half to to this podcast. And like with
Appreciate
anyone
you.
else, you plug anyone else into the podcast, it's not going to be nearly as successful. So I appreciate you coming along for the ride, and it's gonna be fun moving forward. Good times ahead, as Draymond Green said that one time before the Warriors got smashed.
That's right.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? But without further ado, we could talk a little bit real quick with the last 10 or 15 minutes here. If we go over, that's fine, about the future of this podcast. Now, Don is going to say a little bit at the end of our next segment. We're actually going to throw to almost like an interview we did with him. It was more like an open discussion from the first half of the podcast the first half of the podcast that was actually savable. But I guess we could also talk about it from our perspective, right? Like what we see for the future of this podcast and what we know is going to happen. Now, I'm not sure what Don wants me to kind of disclose here, so I'm gonna keep it brief and I'm gonna keep it close to the chest.
Right.
This off season, we kind of want to really focus on expansion. You know,
Right.
in terms of our fan base. Like, you know what I'm saying? To your point, Nigel, you said like you want to see momentum. Well, this offseason to me, we don't have a lot of time to do it because this offseason is going to be one of the, like you said, the shortest in NBA history. We don't have a lot of time, but we want to get a lot of stuff done this offseason. So we're going to be starting, I think it's great too, talking about our synergy, how we've kind of built up an audience, whereas most podcasts would have to have guests on from the jump.
Right.
We've been able to do with just the two of us what most people would have to do with guests, with giveaways, with other stuff like that. Our audience numbers have been growing exponentially. But now we figure we're really gonna break the game. We're really gonna drop a bomb, and we're gonna start getting guests on. I'm not gonna again disclose that much information per Don's request. We're gonna do some giveaways. We're gonna be
Right.
getting more active. I know Don had talked about maybe doing some extracurricular content, and I don't mean like school wise. I just mean like outside of the podcast type of stuff. More. Did you like the? Well, I mean, you could be honest because we're on a podcast. Did you like filming and doing the commercials and the photo shoots and all that? That was pretty fun.
Photo shoots, definitely super fun. You know how I am with pictures, love them.
Yeah.
The photo shoots were fun. We tried to do the commercial. I had fun doing it, actually. I did. It came out a little. We're amateurs. It was our
Yeah.
first one. Like anything, we need room to grow. We need time to grow, and we will get better if we do practice. truly believe that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it was a good first take. I think it's funny. I think I'm gonna be looking back on it in 10 years, like, oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was funny. I thought you wrote it. It was your comedy. It was funny. I thought it was clever.
Yeah.
I had fun doing it too. How'd you feel about it?
I thought it was fun. I think obviously we had some last minute cancellations. We were actually gonna have like a real camera on the set, but we had to use someone's iPhone because the person unfortunately couldn't make it. So, like you said, Nigel, like the only way to go is up. We'll be probably doing a lot more of that, just like short commercial style stuff, and just generally like there might be a merch. I don't want to again like we're not trying to get like everyone too up and the 30 people listening too crazy and too hyped, but there's a lot more stuff that's going to be coming outside of the podcast as well as more just podcast episodes in general. Like it's only going to be up from here, and I don't know, to your point, where we're going to be because I mean, for people that don't know, we're juniors in college, so we started this beginning of sophomore year.
Beginning of sophomore year.
uh and again, in a year we've seen so much growth. I don't know where we're going to be next year. Now, obviously, Nigel, being the busy man that he is, he talked about ICTV. He talked about all this other stuff that he does outside of the podcast, which he kills it. I can say personally, he's had his highlight reels up on Instagram, and I like to support him when I can. Nigel, the point is, has other stuff going on. So we don't know where we're going to be in a year. But I'm just happy to be along for the ride and just enjoy the time that we have now. And regardless of what happens, really, like it's going to be interesting and exciting to see who we can get on the show, what we can do with the show, what we can do outside of the show, and just in general, man, like rocket till the wheels fall off.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So I guess without further ado, we can throw it over now to Don. Did you have any closing thoughts for this segment there, Nige?
If I'm gonna be anywhere in a year, I hope it's back in the booth, man. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Well, also, yeah, I should say that I don't know if I'm sure future or past me in the next segment, he does say it, but I guess I'll say it one time so you guys can hear it again later on. We don't know the whole situation. I think it's important to kind of note that with the future of this podcast, we do have a little bit of a corona issue at our school, and that's the reason we're over Zoom and not in the booth. We don't know where we might be in 2 weeks. We don't know if we're going to be, and I mean, not that like we're not going to be doing the podcast, but we don't know if we're going to be back in the booth or we're going to still be over Zoom. Either way, until we can get back in there, we're still going to be making content, but hopefully it gets cleared up and we should be back. So this is going to be this episode. The episode after that should be over Zoom. And if everything gets cleared up, the episode after that, we might be in the booth. That's a big might. I don't want to, you know what I mean? So I'm going to say err on the side of caution, expect a lot more over Zoom. Unfortunately, I think Zoom at first I was kind of like, on. I know you thought so too, Nigel, because it's kind of like, how would you even have a conversation over it? But I think we figured it out because we're just a couple of podcasting champs over here, so we'll be able to deliver some good content coming your way. But it might be over Zoom.
Yeah, that's fine with me as long as we're putting out an episode.
Yeah. So all right. Without further ado, guys, let's switch it over to us talking to Don, the network director of the network, the ATB network, shop.ballinthesix.com, and we'll talk to him for a little bit, and I'll see you on the other end of that. Yeah, so without further ado, that's been the episode. That was Don, the network director, not only the network director of ATB News, our host, but also the director of shop.ballinthesix.com. Ball in the Six. It's obviously a great basketball lifestyle brand out of Toronto, Canada, and this is a great segue to get into the sponsor for the episode, and that is ballinthesix.com. So if you go to
That's right.
shop.ballinthesix.com and use code SDFNBA in all caps, you get 20% off your next purchase. Guys, we just talked to the guy that runs it, and we know that he's a good guy. You know,
That's
as
right.
I mean, literally, like, I think it's in the last segment we say it too. So I'm just going to drill it into your guys' heads. Listen, we get a cut of the dough. Yeah.
Quality.
Quality. We get
Quality
a cut of
lifestyle basketball gear.
quality. The best out there.
The best of the best.
The best of the best. Let them know we sent you. You know what I'm saying?
Let them know. Yeah, tell them who sent you.
Tell them specifically, bro. Send them a DM over Instagram. Nah, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But listen. But really though, if you use our code, you get 20% off, and of course we get a cut of the profits, so we can provide a better podcast for you guys. And that's been the episode. That's been the special 20th episode. Nige, thank you for coming along with this journey with me, man. It means the world. So Nige, do you have anything left to say here before we wrap it up?
No, just want to thank our viewers. That's why we do it. And thanks for coming along for the journey, man.
Yeah. All right. To 20 more, as you said.
Right, baby.
All right. See you guys.